Hello, I am Amber Stainings, the founder of Bums on Seats. We are the UK's largest outsourced sales agency. We have a team of 10 consultants who work with operators across the UK on delivering their pre-book sales strategy, driving sales. We also do a lot of online and workshop-based sales training, and we go and audit businesses and provide them with suggestions and ideas to improve pre-book sales and obviously grow revenue streams as well. I'm delighted to bring you section 10 of the 100-day playbook. Thank you so much to Supersonic and all the other leading experts involved in this. It's pretty amazing. My section, of course, is about pre-book sales, and I have written here for you a sales reopening plan to help you answer the question how fewer bums on seats can still be profitable. And hopefully there's some ideas in here that you can put into action tomorrow to ensure that when you open, you do so with a bang. So the first part of this is just to reiterate what I mean by pre-book sales. It's ultimately any customer that books in advance, whether that's a table of 2 or a corporate booking of 150. Pre-booked enables you to take deposits, full payments, pre-orders, all up front, now more key than ever. And of course, it is your first point of contact for driving that really excellent customer experience and service. At the moment, pre-book sales is an absolute must for any operator, and certainly that's not going to go anywhere in my view. It enables you to have the right safety measures in and actually control the number of customers coming through your door. You can put great, really effective table turning times and seating times in play now to ensure you're capitalising on every customer and every spend per head. You can also offer at that point of contact pre-orders, prepayments, deposits, everything, and upsell packages and bolt-ons. I adhere to it already, but Bums on Seats very much believes in the customer relationship and using that to drive loyalty and repeat visits. Ultimately, customers may not be visiting as frequently as they were before, but the quality of that visit is more important than ever. Your pre-book sales enables you to monitor that. And from the get-go, you can build the empathy and the confidence and the trust with the customer to ensure that they step foot in the venue already feeling that they've had a really good experience. The first place to start for me, and you should start this straight away, is what is your current pre-book sales looking like in terms of systems and processes? Now, strategically, I would advise that for the first month, you look to pre-book your total capacity to 100%. As rules are slightly lifted on capacity and you can allow more people through the door, you don't want to lower the pre-book sales, but you do want to then allow additional time for and tables for walk-in. But try and pre-book to 100%. Look at, therefore, what that does in terms of sales targets. What's the number of covers that you've got coming in, and how can you really work your pre-book packages and spend per head into that to make sure that's completely capitalised on? It's really more crucial than ever. What I would do is look at auditing these following areas. So your friends and family can help you with this definitely, which is always advisable so they're not quite so close to it. But how easy is your online customer booking and inquiry journey? How effective is that for minimal clicks for the customer so that they can very easily find how to look at your availability and make a booking? How do you optimize your bookable space with social distancing? What are your pre-booked revenue streams and your demographics currently, or your third parties and your partners? What's your back of house process for inquiries and bookings, and what we like to call CRT, customer response time? Is your local marketing database with all the places your data exists organised and ready to go? How up to date are all your online reviews? What's your business reputation currently? How can you look to improve that and drive customers to post more positive reviews? Look at your social media plan, and you may not have been so aggressive in the past with call to actions to book in advance, but now is the time to get those CTAs, call to actions, in play. What's your current reservation sales structure if you've got one? If you haven't, who's owning that in the venue? Who's responsible for that? And are they clear on the questions they need to be asking the customer and what they need to be qualifying, GDPR compliancy, etc.? And critically, it's looking at your product offering, all your packages. Are you going to be running with a reduced menu? What's your upsell opportunities, terms and conditions, cancellation policies, no-shows? How are you monitoring those, deposits? The whole remit can be audited now, and you can write a really comprehensive list of all the things that you can change, affect, and make better. Then we move on to implementing new process, and these are my ideas of what you can do. So the first one is your new packages, making sure that drink options, for example, are self-service. Food options are set menus or bowl food, no buffets, no sharing food. Get everything on the website now and make it really easy for the customer to understand. Make sure you get a phone call with your account manager of whatever booking system you use, and you run through all the things that you need to do to get that booking system updated to manage turning tables and capacities. I would suggest you look at an hour for lunch, hour and a half for dinner, and 2 hours for occasions in terms of table allocation. Making sure that's all updated in the booking system, and subsequently with any other third parties that you might use as well that are also booking out tables for you. Make sure that your personality and this personable approach is more important and critical than ever, and everybody in the team understands that. So right now, a new working sales week for your venue. Things like calling the customer to reconfirm the booking, double checking pre-orders over the phone, following up with the customer after their visit within 48 hours on the phone is going to be critical. Rewrite all your email templates to include revised messaging that follows your marketing strategy, all aimed at building customer confidence. If you're not sure if your booking system can do everything that you need it to do in terms of those key points through the customer booking journey to upsell packages and take deposits and take spends, now's the time to look at that and review that. It could be that the functionality exists in these booking systems, you're just not using it. Now's the time to retrain your team as well to use it properly, and the importance of that. Then we look at the CRT, customer response time. We live in a 24/7 instant gratification society. I would imagine you're going to be getting more customer queries than ever, wanting to check what measures you've put in place so that it is safe and secure. So who's going to be responding to all of those inquiries, those queries? Who's going to be reconfirming pre-orders and taking deposits for your customers? Who's the best person to do that? Who's the backup person to do that? And actually everybody in the venue should know what rules you've put in place. You definitely probably need a new deposit policy, and I would look at 100% refund guarantee. Make your deposits and cancellations very soft, and a 15-minute buffer between each of your table turning times to enable the staff to clean down and wipe down properly is going to be necessary. Now we'll have a look at some sales opportunities, and don't worry, there are some. The big thing for me is reworking any of your individual products into easy to understand pre-booked packages, making sure pricing is on per person or per table, and it's really clear to the consumer what they get, and it's all delivered at the table, self-service. How are you going to reconnect with past bookers? So don't just send emails. Think about picking up the phone. Think about your local area and your local businesses that are probably coming back in 50% capacity as well. What's your personal connection going to be? Let them know you're open, that you're safe and secure. Don't forget, the cliche is true that people still buy from people. So get a process in place for that. Write that into your sales plan for the week. Making sure your upsells and bolt-ons are, of course, profitable, but again, really easy to track and understand. Currently look at what has been selling to date, which ones have been working, which haven't, and where's your opportunity to think a little bit more creatively and adapt to what customers are going to expect during this period. We're also convinced that the staycation and UK travel market is going to be on the up. Even things like your Helen Stags, who we typically would have lost to go overseas, we think are going to stay in the UK. So Airbnb is a great one. Who are your local Airbnbs within your venue's area? Map that out. See what you can do with the landlords in terms of promoting your site. Virtual experiences, how can you incorporate those into your space? So looking at packages for the all-round experience. It's not just food, it's not just drinks, it's everything. How can you make sure that that's really obvious and easy to understand online as well. Christmas is key. I know absolutely we're just going to be worrying about opening our doors, but Christmas, we need to have a good Christmas in this industry this year. So think about packages for smaller groups. Think about your actual offer. So as I've mentioned, things like buffets and sharing food is going to be a thing of the past for the interim. So be very, very safety conscious about your Christmas offering, and as many bolt-ons and self-service packages upsells as possible. And again, of course, your cancellation policies, they need to be softer. Get visual information out there on the World Wide Web, across your social media. Customers need to see very clearly, where am I going to be sat? What's my 2 meter social distancing within the site? Get your videography up to date. Think about your Google 360. Think about your Google listings. Now is a time to get all of that pulled together and get it consistent across all of those channels, because customers are going to be scouting the internet to see where can I go where I feel safe and secure and I know that I'm going to be looked after. Think as well around your delivery, home office delivery and click and collect services, because they're really going to be important for pre-book sales. Customers are going to be judging you in the same way, whether they're getting something delivered to their home or office or whether they're setting foot inside your venue. So they've got to be consistent. If we have another spout of COVID, for example, God forbid, what's your date night in a box? What's your Christmas party in a box offering? How can you do cocktail masterclasses and even a little game? What food can you actually deliver to the best quality at home or office? That does need to be incorporated in the sales plans, absolutely. And what's the bounce back offers to get people to either in the site order delivery or on delivery come in site? Make sure there's a distinct connection and correlation between all of that. And the big one for me, which has always been the case, but even more so, is local area, your connections with your community. What you're going to be offering. Think about things like your NHS card. Yes, everyone does the standard 10%. What should that be now? Where are all the ways that you can actually collaborate with other local businesses, local workplaces, community groups, councils within your area? If you look at a 10-minute walk from wherever your site is, there's going to be so much opportunity. Now is the time to make those connections and plan a bit of a relaunch for your site that's linking up with your local community more so than ever. The next section, number 5, is private hire functions and events. So if you currently have spaces that you would be selling under this remit, this is definitely one for you. So we've got a lot of insight here to look at how we think this market's going to change. And overall, there is going to be a focus on smaller numbers. So there won't be so much of this big company departments all merging and coming down with 500-600 people or whatever it used to look like. So think about how you can get more spend and higher value from less covers. Also, because we think the frequency is going to be lower. So they may not be renting space outside their offices as much, but when they do, again, the quality really needs to be there. So you've got to be controlled and you've got to be impactful. The after work drink situation, are they going to do that in their office? Are they going to come out? You need a solution for both. And making sure that you have fantastic due diligence around your hygiene standards and that you can prove that and talk about that, you know, corporate social responsibility, food safety, hygiene, allergens, God forbid, all of that stuff's even more important than ever. And you are going to have more flexible cancellation terms as well. Personal functions, very, very similar, more value placed on friends and families getting together in their local than before. We think that quality experience of spending time with friends and family during COVID, we know we've all experienced how important that is. So bring that into your site. Weddings. So weddings generally have a pretty long lead time to inquiry to book. I think there's going to be a shift towards smaller wedding parties, and actually more people are probably going to stay in the UK to have weddings than go abroad. So think about that as well. Weddings are going to bounce back, not until, you know, probably the spring next year. But it's a really good time again to review what your offer is, and again making sure that it's bowl food led and it's seated dinner led and it's less about sharing style. Meetings and conferences, we think this is probably going to be the most affected part. We're not entirely sure when large conferences are going to bounce back. So, you know, I wouldn't focus on this so much at the moment, but there are going to be smaller training courses and meetings that kick back up. But we know the working from home culture and people using Zoom, and that isn't going to go anywhere. So think about how you can facilitate, you know, video meetings and conferences within your site. All the stuff that Wireless Social Talk's spoken to you about is going to be really important for the meetings and conferences part. So there is opportunity though. I mean, the events sector is going to bounce back, as is the travel and tourism sector. Just think about how you can review and adjust your offer. Making sure you ask that key question, which we do all the time, but why should they buy from us? Is it appealing? Are we price sensitive enough? Are you offering flexible payment and cancellation terms? Are you competitive enough? You are going to be judged more so. Typically, people will inquire now up to 5 venues before they make a decision on private hire. So you need to be the best in those 5. And do balance profit with affordability. Don't go too far on making up the infrequency of visits by charging the earth. Look at appealing booking incentives, absolutely, but also don't discount because it's a slippery slope. Other areas of opportunity, make the most of what you can host. Think about a new blueprint or table plan, about looking at different ideas and different areas that you can focus on. Maybe stuff that you haven't needed to think about in the past because you haven't needed to worry so much. Now is a time to be more adaptable. Market smart, not hard. This industry in particular, these corporate relationships, it is about relationships. So what is that process of getting in front of people? Can you run virtual show rounds? Can you making sure that you've got as much visualization to them as possible? And plan ahead. Think about now, what is my plan B, plan C if world goes on lockdown again. So you've got to make sure that you've got contingency planning in there at every area. Obviously, if you've got outside space, if you've got pub, beer gardens, stuff like that, prime market, brilliant. Make sure you've got some really good packages around all of those elements. And where you may have steered clear before of whole venue takeovers, especially for Christmas, it could be a good time to consider doing that, because a customer, sort of a corporate customer in particular, is going to feel a lot more safe and secure if they know that they've got the whole venue with their own toilets and everything else. But there is opportunity. It's just making sure you've got the right elements nailed down for you and for what you can operationally deliver. The 7th area here, and I've talked about it a lot, but it is the relationship. So building that customer rapport and trust is absolutely key. Whoever in your venue is going to be responsible for picking up the phone, speaking to customers in advance, answering social media and inquiry and email inquiry responses, they really need to understand the importance of that relationship and that positivity. Be empathetic, take the time to understand what the customer's been through, where have they been isolating, have they reconnected with friends and family, talk to them about other things that aren't just related to the booking or even to the situation of COVID. Identifying the customer needs, the rational needs, the emotional wants are going to be absolutely key here. So we cannot tell you enough about the importance of taking time now. Whereas you may have been able to before send an email out, get some bookings, do everything quite quickly and in volume, this is a time to take a step back and to try and rebuild that loyalty in those customer relationships. Quite frankly, that is nearly half of the sales process that we train in. And be genuine with it as well. You know, don't overpromise and underdeliver, and make sure that the customer feels that they really are important to you, because we know that they are. The next bit is team communication. So pre-book sales is great, advanced sales is great, but it's really, really important that you're communicating whatever you're doing on your pre-booking strategy and however we're handling inquiries to the whole team in that venue. And also to the customer as well, of course. So manage expectation. Everything being presented to the customer has to be deliverable and transparent. You're much better off being honest and saying you can't do something than trying to do something that you know you might not do to the best of your ability. How are your front of house reservations team, sales teams going to be communicating on group bookings to the rest of the ops team? You need weekly meetings, run sheets, pre-orders, deposit systems, all of that needs to be built in. Even if the staff aren't back in the venue yet, or when you're not all necessarily together in the venue at one time, you can use Zoom to hold weekly staff briefings and have a section on the agenda that is sales. You know, what's coming up this week? What does the next week look like? And try and think further ahead. We use a system called Slack now over WhatsApp, because WhatsApp, there's no track. It's obviously not overly professional, but Slack's great. And for smaller sites, we're still free with it. We haven't needed to pay for it. So look at another system that can replace WhatsApp, that can enable you to communicate. You can set up project groups, work groups. It's really, really good. And do reevaluate your communication in the past. You know, it might be that was one area where it was seamless. You know, what's happening on your pre-bookings to when a customer steps foot in the site was great, and therefore you just need to maintain that. But reevaluating is key to the new world, as everyone's calling it. We quite like this tagline, actually: meeting, greeting, seating and eating. So, you know, that's our mantra. How do we make sure that all of those 4 elements are happening to the best of your ability? We've talked about it, I've talked about it briefly already, but, you know, takeout and dine-in are going to be judged in the same light. So how do you establish ownership in-house of both sides of that business? Because it's essentially the same customer. If we looked at what point you're going to allow inquiries to kick in versus just auto confirmations, you could choose that could be 6 covers or more, 8 covers or more, 10 covers or more. But what's the process for that? Looking at what we said before, CRT, customer response time, where are you recording those inquiries? Hopefully in your booking system. Are you setting follow-up dates and chase-back dates through Outlook if you don't have an advanced booking system? So all of that's going to be really, really key. What are your rules of pre-book sales now? And think about your bounce back offers as well. Again, this doesn't have to be discount led, it can be value added, but getting that customer to not just make one visit, but come back for a second visit and a third visit, which is where your follow-up calls are really important, and making sure that you're educating them to know to keep pre-booking, keep pre-ordering. You can show to them how easy it is to pre-order and prepay, and therefore as soon as they come in, they don't have to worry about anything. It's all coming out, it's seamless, it's great, and that will absolutely drive loyalty. Okay, so hopefully that has given you enough to get going with. So just a bit of a recap: audit, audit, audit. What are all the areas now that need to change, and what can you do better or differently? Look at your sales process and getting everything set up and ready to go across your booking system, your social media, and all of your other networks and third parties. Making sure that you're identifying some new sales opportunities, and you've got a process for going back to all of your customers and a more personable relationship approach. Really, really important. Private hire functions and events. What are your packages? How does that need to change? Reviewing cancellation policies. Can you do whole venue takeovers? How can you work better with local community and third parties and Airbnb, for example? And then looking at your relationship building skills, and how are you talking to customers, what are you following up with customers, and how are you managing all of that? And then finally, your internal communication, so that there's no customer complaints and that everything you promise can be delivered. So thank you very much. I really hope that has been of interest, and no doubt I will speak to you very soon.